Cargo and cruise are incompatible on a port. Working cargo on a cruise ship day is unsafe for cruise ship and ferry passengers. Relegating cargo work to nighttime so cruises can work in the daytime causes the cost of cargo to go up for everyone. Port Castries needs a new way into the future, and the Saint Lucia Air and Seaports Authority knows it.
We need to get a place where cargo can come and operate without having the impacts of cruise. There are two huge sectors. Yes, we air and seaports, but having the two sectors in terms of vessels working together, it causes a lot of costs, and that's what we're trying to reduce.
And the challenge is one that every single person in St. Lucia pays for in one way or another.
Port Castries is a multi-purpose port. So we have cruise, we have cargo, we have ferry, we have cars, we have everything happening in Castries. And one impact the other. So in St. Lucia, as in many Caribbean islands, cruise gets priority. So when we have cruise vessels, cargo vessels have to work at nights, and if the operations are not completed, they'll have to vacate the berth. That has an impact on the business sector because when cargo works at overtime hours, the cost is passed on to the end user.
Port Castries has room to be developed, with some room to grow in the Banans area. With a well-developed port in the south of the island, SLASPA has also looked to Vieux-Fort as the cargo hub of the island, but there were some major problems with that.
We looked at cul-de-sac, we did the feasibility study to see whether we can have a port in cul-de-sac. And the feasibility study said, yes, we can. So what we're doing now is we are engaging different firms along with assistance from the CDB to really do a more detailed study to see what can be done. Because really and truly, in Castries, it's becoming more and more of a challenge.
The options for expanding Port Castries are problematic financially and logistically. SLASPA's options were narrowed down by logistics and consumer preference. Customers from the north did not like the option of Vieux-Fort. In order to meet the demands of the future, the Port Authority has to go where the wind blows. The answer is a long-term plan that now has to be moved up in the schedule because St. Lucia's current growth surge cannot wait. Cul-de-sac.
We are currently doing, sent out the RFP, request for proposals, for the firms because we sent out a request for interest. We had 14 firms. And again, like I said, looking at the CDB, we have reduced that through assessment and evaluations to 6. And they are supposed to be doing the more detailed analysis to see what will happen.
Other islands like Dominica are also building new ports with an eye on the future, on speeding up deliveries and bringing down costs for customers. St. Lucia's plan for cul-de-sac is also riding the wave of the future by trying to be an eco-friendly port.
What we are looking at is for that port to be one in which we embrace the environment in terms of our fuel, in terms of our processes, everything. Energy. If we're doing something new, we want to embrace all of the existing technologies.
SLASPA and the CDB are also studying how to make the most of the new cul-de-sac port by looking into synergies with Vieux-Fort, air and seaports.
What role does Port Vieux-Fort play in the cul-de-sac move? To see what synergies can be developed. And we're building the new airport in Vieux-Fort. What are the synergies between Port Vieux-Fort and the airport? What are the synergies between cruise, which has been managed by GPH, with Port Vieux-Fort, Port Soufriere?
How long until Port Cul-de-sac becomes a reality? Not long, says Hilaire, comparing the process of building new ports in other islands.
Dominica, St. Vincent, the planning process would have been about 1 to 2 years, and the actual port construction would be about the same, about 2 years. But it's just that we have to make sure that the research is done, to ensure that it's done properly, to ensure, as you know, cul-de-sac has tankers, right? But it's cargo. Unlike cruise, where you give up the berth. The tankers has one side of the bay. This is at Buckeye, so we're looking at the other side of the bay. So we're not looking at that conflict whereby you have to give up the berth for another vessel. We're looking at cargo can come in at any time, come to work, and to leave.
A new cargo port at Cul-de-sac could finally fulfill the promise of transforming the communities of the valley into a satellite city of Castries. That means millions and millions of dollars of new opportunities.
Anywhere a port is located, it generates employment.
You're going to get a city.
It generates, yeah. You have direct employment, you have indirect employment, anywhere a port is. And that's why you find most businesses are located around a port.
In short, the message for cul-de-sac is get ready. Here comes the future. Here comes development. Here comes the money. For Choice News Now, I'm Jason Seaflay.